So thank you for your time today and congratulations on an incredible documentary. I'm Sevian.
I'm Paige, and we're here from the Modern Bull Show.
So you have a cinema verite style of documentation, which could be described as going beyond the surface. How did you find bringing this documentary together and ensuring the beyond the surface aspects of Steph Curry's story were seen?
So I've been making, like you said, sort of observational, kind of very intense social issue documentaries for more than 15 years in Oakland, California, looking at sort of relationship between community and public institutions, so like healthcare, criminal justice, education. And I met Ryan Coogler, my partner in Proximity Media, more than a decade ago. I was making this film called The Waiting Room, and he was making Fruitvale Station, which was about this young man, Oscar Grant, who'd been shot by the police. And Oscar was born and later died at Highland Hospital, which is where we were shooting The Waiting Room. And that's how Ryan and I got to know each other, and we became friends. And obviously his rocket took off with Creed and Black Panther and all that. And he, in the process, became friends with a lot of celebrities. Celebrities hang out with each other, I guess. And him and Steph became very good friends. He's a super Warriors fan. And Ryan and I started this company together, Proximity Media. And then Steph, his kids were getting older, and he had tried to graduate back in 2008 because he had left college early, and he had made this promise to his mom that he would graduate. And his kids were getting older, and they really look up to him, and he wanted to fulfill this promise that he made to his mom. And so he felt that that was the opportunity to sort of make a film, not about his whole career, but about this particular point in his life, transitioning from being a young man to a superstar athlete. And we met with him, and Ryan and I sort of talked it through, and we felt like that there was something to this story that felt fresh to us, that people hadn't really heard before, that felt like it had a lot of potential. So that began the journey.
That's great to hear. I just wanted to know, was there any major setbacks when making this film?
I mean, it's always like something like when you're making a film about someone like Steph Curry, it's access. So it's all about, can you get enough access to create an authentic, meaningful experience for the audience? Like, what is it that we can say about Steph Curry that you don't already know? And we knew right from the beginning that we were going to have meaningful access. He's a humble guy. I think you know him from the outside. He seems humble, but when you meet him, he looks you in the eye. He's very present. He clearly cares about his family a lot, but he's also a working NBA superstar. He doesn't want the cameras to be a distraction to his team. The documentary wasn't going to be about his team. And so it was really sort of negotiating and sort of navigating, being with him and sort of telling his story and him being able to do his day job. So that was a constant challenge. And it was also, we were not just telling a present day story of him trying to fulfill this promise he made to his mom, and maybe tracking the season in the back of our minds, but nobody thought that they were going to win an NBA championship. But we were telling the story from 2008, which was, a year after this thing came out, the iPhone. And there was very little footage of this time of him at Davidson College. And so it was a real challenge gathering all the archival material necessary to bring the audience into it in an intimate way.
During this documentary, you highlighted a special bond Steph Curry has with his coach, Davidson coach, Bob McKillop. How pivotal were those foundations for his journey as a man?
It was really the huge surprise in a way that this wasn't just a film about Steph Curry. And that's really what sort of drew me into it, because a lot of my work in Oakland has been about the power of community, the power of family to help, in the case of Oakland, like a city like Oakland, which is itself misunderstood, kind of underrated, as an American city, that, someone like a superstar, like what allows someone like Steph Curry to realize his full potential. And we realized it was very much a story of family, mentorship, and that his coach played a powerful role in validating him. This was a guy that he wasn't like nobody. He was the son of Del Curry, who was an NBA star, one of the greatest shooters in the history of the NBA. Yet he wasn't recruited by any Division I colleges, including Virginia Tech, which is where his parents were both star athletes. And that really hurt him. And for Coach McKillop to come along and say, really see him and see his potential, and tell his mom, like, we'll take him just how he is. Because his mom said, that line in the movie, which is great, was just, "Don't worry, Coach, we'll fatten him up for you." And coach said, "Don't worry, we'll take him just how he is." Like, how often have we all wanted to hear that, you know? And so I think that theme really struck a chord with me, and we knew we wanted to sort of build the story around sort of coaches, you know, not just the coach's role, but this entire community of Davidson, the role that they played in his development.
So for me, throughout the documentary, I laughed, I cried, I enjoyed, I connected. So for many moments, I resonated with. What moment resonated with you the most?
There's a moment when they're going deep into the tournament, and on one level, maybe it's about sort of winning or losing. I think every elite athlete really wants to win, you know, but this was also a story about this team as a family, that this was the last time that they were playing together. And as we revisited it when we were sitting down in these interviews and talking to the players, it was really evident how emotional sort of looking back on this moment was. And we knew we wanted to try to capture that and kind of slow it down. And that moment when Steph wanted to take the last shot but couldn't, and he had to pass it to his teammate, and then, you know, Jay Rich launched that shot, is sort of a metaphor for we all take that shot, you know, and for many of us we miss it, and like how do we move on in life? That was a really powerful sort of emotional moment for me, seeing it come together in the edit. And then also another one was the end, and, you know, credit to JD Marlowe, our editor, who did a brilliant job in this movie, is finding this juxtaposition or between the then and now, with the Warriors making this surprising run in the NBA playoffs, and intercutting that with the footage back from 2008. Sometimes literally like Steph making the same shot, the step back jumpers, him falling down, getting back up, running into the tunnel. That gave me chills the first time I saw it, and really kind of captured this sort of arc of this evolution of him as a young kind of unknown player into who he is today.
Just following up of that moment with the championship run, and this documentary being a story being overlooked and underrated, and Steph mentioning it being a driving force for himself, do you think the challenge of having a documentary in the background drove him to not only just do the graduation during this period, but also helping win the championship whilst you were filming?
I think that they know that he's some sort of like celebrity at this point. Maybe Cannon doesn't know it yet. Little Cannon's cute. But, you know, they look up to their dad. And Riley, who we met, you know, his oldest daughter, Riley, we all met her, you know, for the first time, I think after they won the first championship in 2014. And now she's very aware, you know, and I think they look up to him as this, not celebrity, but as their dad, you know. And I think Steph wanted to show to them that he was going to fulfill this promise that he made to his mom. I mean, he wanted them to know that you can't take anything for granted, that, you know, his mom was the first in her family to go to college, and that was so important to him. So that was always the impetus, and none of us knew whether he was going to be able to do it, because he had tried to do it in 2011. I mean, fulfilling your degree requirements as a working NBA superstar, brand ambassador, shooting Subway commercials, being the head of your nonprofit, you know, not to mention trying to win another championship, be a dad, be a husband. It was a lot, you know, but I think that was part of which is why he wanted to make the film at that particular time.
Today we witness a lot of players from different backgrounds playing in different positions that we wouldn't normally see in previous years. How important do you think it is for the younger generation to see this journey and see this story as momentum and fuel to let them know that they can achieve whatever they want?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, it's really emotional in a way, because, you know, I met Ryan because he was telling a story about this young black kid, Oscar Grant, who was not fully seen by society, and the ultimate consequences of that were his life, you know. And I think for a lot of young kids, particularly kids of color, or anybody who's felt misunderstood or overlooked or underrated or even disparaged, that the power of this story, we're really keen on, you know, having young people watch this film, because regardless of whether they're trying to become an athlete, an actor, do something on a big stage, or do something on a small stage, like make a difference in their community, become a teacher, become a nurse, become a cop, become a doctor, that we think, you know, we hope that this movie can inspire people to realize that they belong, that their voice matters. And we also hope to remind adults of the power of mentorship. Like, I don't think as adults we realize sometimes the power that, you know, validating someone can have, like that sense of when his mom said, "Don't worry, coach, we'll fatten him up for you," and the coach said, "Don't worry, we'll take him just as he is." Like, how often do we hear that, you know? And for young people to sort of be reminded of that, I think is very, very powerful. So we're excited about, you know, hopefully the impact that this will have to inspire young people to reach their full potential and the adults around them to be there for them.
Thank you so much for your time, Peter. Really enjoyed having a conversation with you, and we love the documentary as well, and look forward to everybody else being able to witness what you created.
Oh, thanks so much.